Hey, what's up guys, Rev here. So today I wanted to do something a little bit different, a little more wholesome chungus. So a lot of people are talking about the live action adaptation of One Piece that was recently released onto Netflix. Now, a lot of people are claiming that this live action adaptation has broken the curse, and it's actually a very solid product and one that honors and respects the source material. So combining those reviews with this particular video we're looking at now, I have to say personally, I'm on board and I'm definitely going to watch this series. And I wanted to share some thoughts because I feel like I'm not the only person who is going through this sort of experience where I've been a fan of anime for basically the majority of my life, and yet I've never gotten into One Piece. I've consumed a little bit here and there, but I've never gotten fully into it. And yes, part of it is the classic excuse of it's a lot of episodes, okay? I don't really know if I have the investment to get into 1,000+ episodes and hundreds of chapters of the manga and so on and so forth. But this live action adaptation represents a chance to test out the waters. And I know I'm not the only person who has been hesitant to get fully into One Piece because of the time commitment, because I'm a completionist. I like to watch something start to finish and have the whole thing. But maybe it's time to finally commit, because I'm like that old man who's finally given that rock and roll music a chance, because the live action looks really, really good. And this video in particular is something that really changed my mind about things and gave me a lot of faith in this live action. So I want to share with you guys, because not only do I want to share my thoughts about it, but I'm sure there's a lot of people who are like me, and this might serve as the first entry point, the first real entry point into the One Piece franchise. So we're going to go through this video. It's about 4 minutes long, and there's a bunch of interviews with directors, actors, and other members of the crew behind this Netflix adaptation, and I definitely think it's worth a listen. So
the One Piece live action, we're all putting our heart and passion into this.
We're gonna need a real pirate ship worthy of the Straw Hat crew.
So the big thing about this video here and what has been really relayed by the entire team behind this is that this seems much more like a passion project, which is really, really refreshing when other live action adaptations, even ones from Netflix, have seemed like they are just kind of a cash grab, where they're taking an existing popular IP from anime or manga, and then they're basically just putting it onto a screen, and it's really there's no passion behind it. It's not a toast to the fans or something that is meant to satisfy them. Rather, it's meant to satisfy just a general audience, and as it turns out, that doesn't really relay into good viewing numbers either.
Oda-sensei has infinite ideas, making the manga still so popular after so many years.
I mean, it's obvious that Oda is on another level, okay? And the one thing you'll hear over and over again in this video is the name Oda, okay? You'll hear it about 50 times during this video, and that's really important because clearly the word of Oda and his creations and his creative path is respected. And that's why I have a lot of faith in this, because in other live action adaptations, the creator wasn't even a part of the filming. And here it seems like Oda was not only respected in terms of his creative decisions and his vision, but he was also there and present in being used as a reference for how this whole thing would be produced.
It's such an expansive world that people are absolutely diehard.
People say she's mid. Can you guys stop embarrassing anime fans? Maybe she's not your type, but people are unironically calling her mid. Are you kidding me? That's insane to me. Had to point that out. But yes, as she's saying, this is Oda's world, and there's a lot of diehard fans, and that is the main focus, is the diehard fans and doing things to please them, which is obviously, without saying, a good thing.
Getting a chance to bring that story to life, it's absolutely amazing.
Matt, the showrunner, he's a super fan. Who better to make an adaptation than a super fan?
And that's really cool. You don't see that very often, where some of the showrunners and people that are helping the directorial decisions are super fans of the product that they are a part of. That is really cool, and that should be something that is much more normalized. And when you have a giant crew for these sorts of sets like Netflix has, where there's hundreds of people employed on a given show and it's filming, man, just making a couple extra hiring decisions for people like superfans to help out, that's a really smart investment. And I don't understand why they don't do that more often, because clearly there's not a budget constraint on places like Netflix. So you would think they'd be able to do something like that if they wanted to.
Action.
I've been a massive fan of One Piece for years and years. Having a built-in fan base is a phenomenal thing.
And a lot of people don't understand how important that built-in fan base is, because with other adaptations like Cowboy Bebop, for example, it seemed like that built-in fan base was not utilized. It was actually overlooked, and a lot of the times the creative decisions were defended basically against the wishes of the built-in fan base. And utilizing that's not just out of respect for them, but again, it's in their own interest, because with One Piece, its popularity has not gone away. In fact, I would say that the popularity behind One Piece is at an all-time high. You're talking tens of millions of fans across the world. Why wouldn't you just focus solely on them and then let outsiders trickle in because the product is good? Focus on them. That's a built-in revenue machine for Netflix, so it's smart of them to focus on that built-in fan base.
And that also comes with a lot of responsibility to get it right. With every aspect of this, we use the manga created by Oda Sensei, his designs, that's always our North Star.
I don't have to even explain how that's such a great thing to hear. Obviously, we all know that using the creative vision of Oda as the North Star, who am I gonna trust? Oda or the creative decisions of someone else as the North Star of all your decisions for this adaptation? Yeah, I'm thinking Oda. I think that's a pretty smart decision to rely on his creative vision.
This series has been running for 25 years, and we know a lot about these characters and about the world, so it's given us the opportunity to throw in a lot of Easter eggs for fans.
Easter eggs are so important. People overlook Easter eggs so much. People will literally be creaming their pants over seeing a tiny Easter egg from a franchise they love. It means a lot to people, and it brings a lot of extra attention. Just the smallest little detail in the background can get people talking about your series. It's free advertisement. People will go on Twitter and say, oh, here's this little Easter egg, and it's a screenshot of something that took them 2 seconds to add in. And all of a sudden now you have a viral tweet promoting the series and encouraging people to, focus on the show and maybe give it a chance.
Let's go! Right!
It's a really tricky balancing act, trying to figure out what you're going to put in and what you're going to leave out. The hardest part was finding the right story arcs and emotional arcs for characters that would make for a wonderful season of television.
So some people, we talked about this briefly yesterday, but one of the very common negative aspects of the critic reviews of One Piece is that it's too faithful to the source material, which of course fans are laughing at, because that's exactly what they want. They want it as faithful to the source material as possible. And here you have some of the executive producers saying that they are basically struggling because they want to include as much as they possibly can. But of course, this is a TV show and it's limited to a certain number of episodes. So they're picking and choosing what is most important and what will make the fans the most happy and what will be most effective in terms of the entertainment value of this series. That's an awesome thing to hear.
I don't want to be a Marine. I'm a pirate.
A big challenge was figuring out how to include backstory.
How did I end up being a Netflix shill? That's what I want to know. I'm sitting here shilling Netflix. They did something right when I'm sitting here praising Netflix, by the way. And if they, I swear to God, if they copyright claim or strike this video, I'm gonna have an aneurysm. It's gonna be my most embarrassing L of all time, but I'm watching you.
These backstories are all in the manga, and we made a decision early on to parcel it out and tie it into present-day story. We went by Oda-san's SBS chapter notes, where he answers fan questions at the end of chapters in the manga.
Boy, I'm sure there's a lesson here about taking the word of Oda seriously and treating it like the Bible in terms of the franchise. I wonder if people on Twitter are getting the message that what Oda says should be respected above all else when it comes to creative decisions regarding this franchise. Not to get into drama, but I'm sure people could have learned a little bit of a lesson on that one if they took Oda's words the way that this crew is taking his words in terms of their creative decisions.
It's full of character backstories and birth dates and heights.
These are so good.
Their favorite foods and things like that. So we scoured those and thought that brought a lot of wonderful emotional grounding with the characters.
Those tiny little things, just like the Easter eggs, mean a lot to fans. And again, it's just free promotion and another reason people are going to engage with this series. Smart decision, again, low effort, high reward.
What's been really great is Oda Sensei and his team have been with us the entire time. Getting to talk with him is one of my favorite experiences about this, and that collaboration, I think, has birthed something really special.
Again, that seems like it should be the standard when you're doing an adaptation of an existing anime or manga franchise, but it's not. A lot of times the creators have very little impact on the actual filming of the live action adaptation, and that's sad to see. And I don't know if that's just kind of standard practice, or they were discouraged from being a part of it, or it was just a simple signing over the IP rights, but this should be the normal. And also, if you really do care about your franchise and your story, how could you not want to be involved in the ground level and be a part of the decisions in regards to the filming and the creative direction of what this live action is going to be? It just seems like a simple thing to me.
Hey, Zoro, what you gonna wear?
Something black.
Zoro looks like
The
a
most
badass.
challenging
I'm not
thing
gonna lie.
translating the page to the screen was bringing the color and the life into our characters without it looking like cosplay.
I think that is one of the biggest signs of really a shabby product in terms of live action adaptations. I feel like every time I think about the bad examples of live action adaptations of anime and manga, that's what it feels like. It feels like you're watching a fan-made cosplay video where they were just kind of, out there doing their thing, and it just seems tacky, which is hard because there's a fine line between making it too realistic looking and making it goofy and unrealistic and looking like, your custom-made character walking into the cutaway scene type thing. You know what I mean? But it's nice that they understand that, and that comes with a lot of work. Like, not every production can put so much effort into it. And with One Piece, I think a lot of the color schemes, they're bright, but they're simple too. And I think a lot of it has to do with the background work, where you can make, characters stand out with simple colors, but if you make the background very, very plain, it makes them pop. But yeah, I'm not some expert in that field. I'm just saying as a commoner viewing these things.
The manga's black and white, and so Oda's color walk became our Bible.
Color Walk gave us a very unique opportunity to see the Straw Hat characters in different environments, in different costumes.
It gave me the opportunity to introduce texture and tailoring without in any way compromising the look of the manga.
I mean, look at that shot. It looks pretty dang good to me. Like, again, it's never going to be perfect. There's going to be no live action adaptation that's going to be perfect, but you can't tell me this looks pretty solid. And one thing I find very funny, because we've been talking about other live action remakes and adaptations like Snow White, for example, where casting of certain characters has brought controversy because, for example, you have Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and in the remake, the Seven Dwarfs are people with average heights, and it just is weird and it makes no sense. And then here you have the live action adaptation of One Piece, where you have a crew of actors that are from all different races, and it doesn't feel forced. And that's exactly how it should feel, and it feels like they casted characters who looked the part and also felt the part. And it's a fine line type of thing, but when you have examples like Snow White being so in your face about casting choices that are an open divergence from the source material, that stands out and people don't like it. Rightfully.
Our costume design is absolutely incredible. We have a lot of nods to things Ultimate fans would know.
Imagine appealing to Ultimate fans. Wow, that is a next level idea there. They're onto something. They're onto something. Who would have thought appealing to the actual most hardcore fans would benefit people?
One of the things that we thought would make the show feel more real is if we did as much as we could in camera. It was a conscious choice to use prosthetics as much as possible, particularly on the Fishman.
With prosthetics, one of the...
I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, the problem with CGI is that it almost always looks wonky. Like, even Netflix has a problem with it. And going this extra level with prosthetics and things like that, I think it takes something that you would on paper cringe at the idea of being in a live action, but they've turned it and done their best to avoid use of CGI and things like that and made it actually look pretty convincing.
Trickiest things was to try and keep all the designs as close as possible to honor Mr. Oda's work and then bring something to screen that looks like it could live in the real world.
On paper, this should look absolutely beyond goofy, and personally I think it looks not too bad. You're free to disagree with me on that, but I think this is a pretty solid look.
It's trying to find the middle ground between both of the mediums, and when we do have an idea to tweak or change something, it's always a conversation with Oda Sensei and his team.
Again, right back to having conversations with Oda and his team. That is exactly how it should be.
Snail phone being a perfect example, we did snail phones that you have in the manga, and then the prop crew came up with tiny snail phones that fit in your ear like a Bluetooth. Props then designed a snail megaphone that amplifies the voice across the water.
Look what they did to my boy Gary. Gary made it into the film, everyone. Again, goofy concept, but somehow translates to a pretty cool looking shot.
Scales and submit to my authority.
The attention to detail that everyone has and just the talent of our individual departments. It's incredible. I think we were really successful in being able to bring One Piece into a new medium and show just how special it is and why so many people all over the world love this series so much.
That's the thing. I mean, I'm beating a lot of these points to death, but like understanding that One Piece is a success on its own, and you are there to make a live-action adaptation. Of course, nobody wants a formulaic, frame-by-frame repeat where basically you're just taking what exists already and making it live. Nobody wants a direct carbon copy, but people want something that is very, very close and takes its own creative spins when it needs to, because some things just simply don't translate, and also you have to boil down a story into a much smaller frame of time. And it's good that they acknowledge that. It's not going to be perfect, but there are approaches that make a lot more sense than others.
To the best crew sailing on the sea, and to our victory! It's been a pleasure to be a part of this journey.
And another thing you'll notice, like with this actor here, very, very appreciative, a very positive attitude behind everyone working with this. And that is something that we didn't see with the Snow White live action adaptation, where you have people involved in lead roles openly disparaging the story that they're supposed to be a part of and saying that they're changing things and that the original story was problematic and wrong and not fitting or a product of its time. But here you have people who seem like this was their favorite gig in acting and that they're just honored to be here. That's cool and refreshing to see. And it obviously will translate to a better product. Nobody's going to make a good product while they're filming it out of spite for the source material and its creators.
It's such a creative world, so many interesting characters.
I was truly overwhelmed when I saw it, and I can't wait for the fans to see it too.
You're my captain, Luffy, from now until the end.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but the more I watch this, I was already going in on this. I was already going to commit, but yeah. Looks good. I'm a shill for sure. No regrets. Shameless.
The spirit of One Piece is so strong in this.
It is such a privilege to work on this show. There's something really wonderful in what Oda-san has created.
Snow White and your cast, are you listening? I'm going to keep bullying you until you get this right. That's the difference. The Virgin Snow White crew versus the Giga Chad One Piece crew. That's exactly what this is.
Truly, this is his sandbox, and we're just playing in it.
Next up, the Grand Line!
Yeah, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, my ass will be watching, and hopefully this was a nice promotional piece and a good conversation. I'm no expert in these sorts of things. I'm not an expert in reviewing. It's not really my style. But I thought this was a nice break from things. It was a little more chill and positive, and hopefully this marks a turning point and encourages more well-structured live-action adaptations of beloved anime and manga series, because it is such an untapped potential, and there's so much good that could come out of that. But unfortunately, up until this point, they've been nothing but fumbling of the bags. because people, the creators behind the live action adaptations, just aren't giving faithful translations of the original content, and it's coming off sloppy and often a disrespect to that original piece and the fans behind it. But that's going to do it for this video. I appreciate the listen. I know it's a little bit of a long video, but just wanted to share my thoughts, and please share your thoughts about today's video and this One Piece live action adaptation in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.